Yeah, I think the Camille and Olaf made a lot of sense. Like, they're very good against Misfortune specifically as well. Like, MF is one of those AD carries that, especially with her ultimate, becomes stuck in place for quite some time at a shorter range compared to something like a Jhin, and that is a like complete like I guess fish food for like a Camille and an Olaf. They will run at her and they will just kill her, and even through the Lulu, yeah, it should be very difficult for Misfortune to survive. They've gone for a very similar combination here, though. The Orianna, the Malphite. Like, Orianna Malphite is like what I like to call, and what has been called in League of Legends for a very long time, the bronze combo. Like, it's one of those. It's like if you're coaching a bronze team in League of Legends, you'd be like, pick Malphite and pick Orianna. Put the ball on Malphite. Malphite go in. Shockwave, and then basically it's like a really simple wombo combo to be able to execute on. Looks like on the other side of the coin, though, they've gone for the Jhin this time, but they have the Jarvan as well, which is something that I've seen really only in this tournament. The Jarvan has got a lot of popularity in this tournament. I almost never see Jarvan in solo queue, and I think it's probably something that works well in competitive because he's very good at engaging fights and sort of isolating people on the enemy team. But again, Jarvan has a similar kind of vein to what an Olaf and a Camille could do. Like, you see a Misfortune ult. Jarvan jumps in, lands her in the bowl, and then you just like throw a Gragas and an Ahri in there, and throw an Alistair in there, and it's very difficult for her to survive.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I was just trying to get my other screen potentially hooked up at the exact same time. Looks like I'm a little bit behind. In any case, starting off the game with our standard Lulu and Misfortune, just trying to cause some trouble. Just basically running back the last game without the nuisance of that Camille and Olaf, like you mentioned. We'll see how that pans out for them. What do you think about our situation with the rest of the draft here? Looking at obviously the Vi pick here instead of I think they had Wukong last game.
Yeah, they had Wukong the last game. Obviously, Wukong, a bit more of a wombo combo. What I'd say is Vi has got much more survivability, and the single target lockdown could be really useful too. I mean, look at this. It's very difficult for anyone to trade against a Misfortune Lulu in lane. You can see in the bot lane. But yeah, I think Vi with a single target lockdown can peel a little bit more effectively for the Misfortune. But also, and if an Ahri jumps in, you just, what are you doing, Jhin? Yeah, you just... Sorry, but what on earth? Anyway, if the Ahri's like ulting all over the place, you can just Vi ult her and then lock her down and hopefully kill her quickly. That's probably the thought process with the Vi here, especially because Ahri's quite slippery otherwise.
Yeah, that could definitely be the case for why they go for that. Obviously, taking a look at the rest of these matchups, this matchup we're looking at right now is just brutal. Obviously, Lulu and Misfortune doing an extremely good job. Obviously, Malphite and Gragas heading up in that, or fighting each other in that top lane, and the classic Ahri Orianna matchup there in the mid. As far as like as for team fight goes here for both teams, what are you looking at as far as wombo combos and just overall being able to fight in that 5v5 between these two teams?
I think the 5v5 is easier to execute. Something that we talk about being so important in competitive, especially when you're kind of looking at newer competitive teams, is like the ease of execution of a team fight. And when I look at Alliance's comp, like I said, we call it the bronze combo for a reason. It's very easy to execute. Like, it's just, you just got to pick your place in the Malphite ultimate. Obviously, it wasn't working out in the previous game because they were never getting proactive Malphite ultimates. But it is a comp that should be relatively easy to execute. It has a very strong wombo combo, right? Whereas I look at the side of Doctor, and theirs is a little harder. Like, essentially, you're looking to run distraction. And with the Ahri, the Jarvan, and the Gragas, so like they're designed to go in. They're throwing a lot of CC down. They're potentially doing some damage and getting health bars low. And in the meantime, Jhin can just throw his ultimate down from long range and potentially pick off stragglers at the edge of the team fight. But when it comes to just pure 5v5 capabilities, pure wombo combability, it's definitely Alliance who should be able to execute on an easier team fight.
Yeah, and we have the extra armor picked up here from I don't know the names quite yet, but the armor from Lulu, so that's going to help quite a bit when we get into the the shields when we get into these fights. There's a big gank coming here into the top lane. Malphite goes down to that Jarvan ult, and that is first blood over to DR. Fight's a little bit late to kind of help that situation. Lulu trying to rotate over as well, putting a little bit of damage onto this Gragas. Not sure anything is going to come of it, but DR starting out strong once again.
Yeah, and what I would say is that this is something that I've noticed that DR do 10 times better than Alliance, and something that Alliance can work from, is that these coordinated rotations and tower dives, like they were doing it constantly last game to the Malphite. Like every time the Malphite was in a slightly.
Speaking of which, sorry, well, they're going after the misfortune down there. Looks like this time they were unable to get that done. Not quite a gank. It was a 2v1 situation, but unable to get her in the end. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I think could be done more effectively by the doctor guys is that they should be much more proactive in looking for these side lane dives and side lane ganks, because that's what they were doing to this Malphite all the time last game. And Ari was getting fed from it, Camille was getting fed from it, and they were translating that into really strong team fight pressure. And unfortunately, that just meant the Malphite was super far behind. And as Dave said, when you ult as a Malphite, you're committing your body and soul to the team fight. And if your body and soul is not sufficiently tanky enough, then you're just going to get bopped. So yes, it's something that you need to be much more proactive with. There is going to be a potential fight around the dragon here. The split team comp for Alliance is not something that I'm excited about, but this is what I want to see. Alliance now have the ability to be proactive and aggress onto the dragon.
Yeah, the big flash in from the opposing team, though, and the ult coming out from Draven, but he's going to immediately be focused down as we see the wild growth onto the Malphite in front, but takes a huge amount of damage to the face there, and that means that the Orianna, the Vi, and the Malphite have already gone down. The only one left is that misfortune, and that is going to be what looks to be a 4-for-1 in favor of DR, once again taking a team fight.
The misfortune held her ultimate for a very long time in that team fight, and I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe because she was being forced out by the Jarvan here, but like right now, I would have been throwing my ultimate now, like straight here, like at this point now. But this is a little bit late for me, and I think Ari able to jump in and again just do what she does on the outside of the fight, just pick off those solo members. Just unfortunately, even though they took a lot of members low here, the wombo combo didn't manage to come through. However, they may even end up getting the dragon. Even though they lost the team fight. So they again, silver linings from that. They do actually end up picking up the objective at the end of it.
Yeah, it seems like they realized that they got multiple members of DR low. I'm not quite sure where DR went after that. Probably went back to base, but not really sure why they didn't try to contest. Maybe they didn't want to give any unnecessary advantages back over to the side of Alliance. But even though Alliance get the dragon in the end, they're still in a deficit, and with the toughness of the group, essentially, I wouldn't be surprised if Alliance loses. They could actually fall out of the the playoff situation if 16-bit gear is able to catch up in the end. So really dicey here for Alliance if they continue to play like this.
So it's going to be the Rift Herald. This is where Alliance threw the game really hard last time round. We'll have to see if they can potentially look for a more engaging fight. Vi's just pushing mid lane though. They're just running distraction, maybe looking for a cheeky steal. They don't get it, but the engage comes through.
Yeah, the Alistair came on just a little bit at the end there. Like you mentioned, Vi getting that mid turret. I think that's actually a huge plus for Alliance here. Getting that turret, like you've mentioned multiple times before, X. A lot of times the Rift Herald just ends up being a turret or less. So you might as well just get the turret in the end. I think that was very well done here by Alliance, just kind of poking in the end and playing it much more carefully than they did last game.
Yeah, and like you said, like sometimes best case scenario, as you mentioned correctly, is that the Rift Herald gets you first turret of the game. Well, if you take first turret of the game, then who cares about Rift Herald, right? Like that's all that objective usually gets for you. Like I said, there's sometimes you can get a good team fight and use it to run distraction on the next dragon. Like there are more strategic options with Rift Herald, and maybe I'm making it seem a little bit one-dimensional here. But realistically, like I often find that the best thing that Rift Herald gets you is like a really good turret. Usually that turret is mid lane. If that tower goes down, and you take it without the use for Rift Herald, then great. Like that's a perfectly fine trade in my opinion. That the engage comes through.
Yeah, the engage does come here from the Alistair. The Lulu was trying to back, and unfortunately, Misfortune took quite a bit of extra damage as that was going on. A little bit distracted in the end. Rip Trail does get popped here in this bottom lane. Trying to go onto this turret is DR. In comes the Alistair, gets polymorphed, can't really proceed any further, but back comes a lot of damage here coming from the Vi. The ult gets popped by Misfortune, but completely whiffs, and Lulu goes down for basically nothing. Here comes the engage out of the opposing team. The driver goes on, has his GA pop drop. They do drop the tower in the end. The Rift Herald is still going, and 3 have fallen here for Alliance as they get pushed even further. Jarvan does fall to the turret, baby, biting off a bit more than he can chew, but in comes the flash and the kill here on to the Orianna in the end, just pushing their advantage, and they get 2 turrets in the end, X.
Yeah, well, that was a really great Rift Herald push. This is like a really poorly executed team fight from Alliance. And they had every advantage with the turret there as well. It was a strict 4v4. Obviously, the Rift Herald getting popped was really high IQ from like 200 IQ pop for the Rift Herald because it allowed them to take that turret down really quickly in the midst of that team fight. But that Misfortune ultimate was really, really bad. Like it could have been 10 times more impactful. And if he'd held it for a slightly more appropriate situation, but that was not the best Rift Herald. But I've got to give credit to the way that Doctor executed that team fight. Specifically, someone that I'm underrating is Edaf in the mid lane on this Ahri. Like I feel like he's been so impactful with the picks that he's been going for, like just playing on the edge of the team fight, landing the most important charms to pick off like 1 or 2 members. And that Jhin ultimate was great because it zoned people away from the tower, made it difficult for that team fight to come. Lulu's just dead here as well, or almost dead anyway. That was a nice save there with the Lulu ultimate. But look, Alistair's popped his ultimate. He's not taking any damage in return.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What Alistair does to everybody.
Yeah, he's able to get in there, get the knock up onto the Lulu, has to use the ult on herself, and uses the shield as well. So those are 2 big cooldowns that she's popped right there. Looks like there's going to be engage onto the Drake here from DR. Oh my god! The Gragas jumps in. It gets a lot of damage, but does go down in the end. In exchange, so the Malphite does, or get extremely low. The Misfortune falls, excuse me, as to does the Vi. There's going to be a chase here as the Ahri hunts down the Malphite. And that is going to be what looks to be a Drake in favor of DR, and yet another team fight going their way.
Yeah, I think DR looking to put this game in their bag right now. I think it's going to be very difficult when you're running a competition like this that's supposed to be ahead. Like a Misfortune comp generally tends to be ahead. I mean, that was just poor.
Where did
like,
Gragas come from? Like what?
he flash belly slammed from the top brush,
That's
but
insane.
like you had no vision of the area. Like you had absolutely no vision. Like it was a really risky place for Misfortune to step up. Like Misfortune needs to be behind your front line. She needs to be behind your front line. I feel like I'm being like a horrible dad at the moment.
Well, I mean, talk to me. Just talk about the timing there from DR, right? They get all of the cooldowns off of Lulu, and then they jump in, and then Misfortune's a sitting duck.
They're just using vision really well. Like every time that they're just coming from an area of no vision where they've got some good vision. This is a nice engage though. This is a good engage from Alliance. That's a really, really big play because that's the shutdown as well. If they can convert this into Baron or maybe an inhibitor turret, that's a huge play from Alliance. Like they've just done what Doctor has done to them like 5 times.
Yeah, extremely decisive there from Alliance, not taking it anymore. They jump onto the Ahri and get that shutdown, like you mentioned. That's a lot of gold into their favor. Looks like Gragas is going to be in trouble as well. But the Misfortune goes down because Lulu isn't there to save her. In exchange, the Jhin falls as well. But this is a back and forth team fight. Many members extremely low. Can the Alistair stay alive? He is trying to as he runs away. Was on the sliver for quite a bit there, but he's able to get away in the end. So it is a 2-for-1 at the end here for Alliance, obviously not including that initial pick. They're still in it, but this is pretty dicey. And I feel like this Lulu has to be attached at the hip to Misfortune.
This is what I want to see from Alliance. You're running a proactive team comp. You want to be the ones jumping with Vi, then comboing your ults together, and again doing what Doctor had been doing to you, and finally Alliance make it work. And you can see how powerful it is when it works. They've got great single target damage with the Vi lockdown. They've got beautiful team fight combinations if they can make it happen. And again, yes, they caught. I'll give credit. They caught a split Doctor composition up, but that's the punish that you need to make. It was good, clever play. Looks like they're going to try and potentially trade the dragon. No, no.
Goodness, over the wall, from the bushes. They are hiding like monsters in a horror movie, DRR. And
when do you learn? Like, this is the problem. Like, when do you learn?
I guess you learn when you're dead, X, because that is what Misfortune and Lulu are. So too is Vi. They're chasing down the remaining members. Oh, wow. Okay, wait, what? Someone died there, but not... sure what the
They
heck.
proc the Jarvan GA, so he got the Jarvan
Ah,
GA. It went down. So, but yeah,
okay,
they're still
okay,
going to get the Baron. They're still going to get the Baron off the back of this.
yeah, okay. They still get the Baron in the end. They get 3 for their efforts, and I am extremely surprised because as good as Alliance looked last week, they are getting trounced here by DR, who are absolutely taking it to them. They have the Baron in tow. They have most likely a massive gold lead, as you can tell from the complete disparity in the kill count, and they're going to be pushing down these towers and getting what they've reaped.
Yeah, I think this is why sweepers are so good, guys. Like, just sweep the vision in your jungle entrances around the river. Just make sure you get rid of the vision, because like so many times this game, Alliance have just walked into an area where Doctor have set up vision, and because they have this great engage, they can go through the walls. They can jump over these terrain obstacles. They're just getting caught out time and time again. And I like, as I said, like, maybe I'm being harsh, I say when you're going to learn, but come on, guys, just like sweep the vision, get some vision in those river brushes, stop getting caught out from the body slams and the dragon strike combos, and and these team fights might end up going better for you. But like, I feel like they're just getting picked off. Like that Lulu previously just had to burn her entire kit for the same reason that just happened. So yeah, I just want them to start sweeping some vision.
Yeah, well, credit to DR, though. They're making it extremely difficult as another engage comes in, though this time it looks like it's going to be the Vi gets taken down in the meantime. They were going on to the Gragas, and it seems like he's going to get taken down for free, but no, Vi goes down in exchange. There's going to be a continued push here from DR onto this mid tower. The Polymorph comes out on the Alistair. He's trying to get in there. Lulu's getting extremely low. She doesn't have her ult to use anymore. Yeah, Ari's getting aggressive, and they have taken down this mid turret. You can see one of the members here from the DR is on the top lane as well, pushing into that turret and getting one more. Driver's going to go ahead and take that for his team. So 2 turrets down. They're going to go ahead and back off.
Do you know what? I mean, yes, you lost the turrets, but that's like best case scenario in my opinion for Alliance. You trade 1 for 1, you don't lose an inhibitor turret. But there is still plenty of time to get back into this game and start to fight back. So I think, just if you can find a good wombo combo, like if you just get that Malphite knock up into the Misfortune ultimate, there's still plenty of chances to win these fights. It just obviously is looking slimmer and slimmer. And also remember the Orianna scale as well, though. So, the Orianna, she's got a great scaling late game. If she can get to that point in the game, she could do significant enough damage to be able to sort of turn these fights on their head. Baron spawning in under a minute now. That's going to be the next point of call, because obviously if they lose yet another Baron, I'm thinking that inhibitor turrets are going to start to fall, and that could be the end of the game.
Yeah, that absolutely could be the case. Like you mentioned, trying to get damage from the Orianna and perhaps the Misfortune as well to try to, carry these fights along. Objectives coming up shortly here, so they're gonna have to find something, or else they're going to be. There's going to be knocking on the door of the inhibitor turrets. You can see I'm pinging both of those objectives right now to see what's going to happen. Looks like a big fight breaking out here. Lulu's not really in the area, but Alistair is going to be taking extremely low. Is he going to go down? Looks like he's freaking immortal, though. And on the backside, the Vi does get her GA popped. The Malphite does drop here as the fight rages on. Looks like one more GA was popped, and they get potentially the kill on it. Not really sure if they were able to get in the end, but Ari getting extremely aggressive does fall to the focus here from Alliance, and maybe this is what they need to get it done. But in the end, it looks like just a 1 for 1. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, no,
that's a lot of GAs. Yeah,
a lot of GAs got popped that fight. It was a 1 for 1 overall. Like, that was actually really well played. The way that Alliance played that fight was well played. Like, they peeled back. They tried to isolate single targets and sort of blow them up with the Misfortune after peeling back there. That was really, really clever. And again, they didn't overcommit to the fight. They're going to potentially
another engage.
Alistair?
Yeah, Alistair.
Oh, the flash belly bomb.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the wild growth here onto Lulu herself as they're trying to peel back just like the last fight. They already have 2 kills. There's a third one. Malphite is respawn, trying to get back into the fight. The Orianna is extremely low, but they're going to go ahead and try to rush down this Baron as quickly as possible. Only 2, now 3 members of DR are up, so potentially they can try to contest it, but no, they're going to let it go. And Alliance start the comeback trail, get a team fight, yet another team fight, I should say, and they get the Baron.
Orianna starting to scale up and do the damage necessary. That was, I think the idea behind the fight was okay from Doctor, but they didn't have the damage to really follow up on it. Like without the Ahri there, the Jhin just didn't have his ultimate ready to go. The Jarvan wasn't able to sort of provide that frontline distraction. Alistair without his ultimate as well. You can see how different these fights are when Alistair doesn't have his ultimate. He can't sit there and tank the entire team for sort of 5 seconds. And now the Infernal Drake is coming up. Alistair will be ready to go for this, and obviously I think the entire Doctor team should be able to contest. But this Elder Infernal, like you need to go for it. They might just be too late, though.
It seems like they are going to be too late. It's going to be taken pretty easily here by Alliance, excuse me, and they're just going to be on the warpath with that extra damage buff on their side, and obviously the extra damage from these minions. They're going to be pushing down onto this bottom tower. It's going to go down in a matter of seconds, pushing down on the inhibitor turret as well. It seems to be the case that the trap comes out for you from Jhin. Not sure it's going to be quite enough to hold this off. I don't think it's going to be enough as all. They put the damage onto the Misfortune. She's trying to rush it down. Alistair taking quite a lot of damage. He has to back up and try to save himself. The inhibitor turret goes down in this bottom lane. Are they going to try to push for the game is the question, or are they going to split up into multiple lanes? This is going to go for the Nexus itself. Seems like there's going to be their best option. The defense comes out. Gragas trying to hold things off. The ult comes out here from Jhin. The curtain call holding off the minions as long as possible, and that's going to cause Alliance to back up for just a moment.
Yeah, you just start to feel the damage being outscaled here right now for Alliance, and they are just relentlessly running through these turrets. Maybe Doctor didn't do enough with the advantage that they got previously. They were maybe not aggressive enough under the towers. They maybe weren't aggressive enough pushing their own inhibitors when they had that Baron previously. You know, I've been critical of Alliance in this game, but the one thing that I can be very, very positive about is the way that they've managed to handle some of these later game team fights. Even when they were behind, they were able to trade 1-for-1 and defend their turrets, and that was the most important part of this game.
Oh my god,
here's the end game.
Nexus is extremely low. It does go down, and Alliance takes the game and ties up the series 1-1.